After awakening to not just one, but two personas, Makoto collapses from exhaustion and wakes up over a week later in the hospital. And Yukari, who's there to check in on him, assures him that he's fine and that he was just beyond exhausted from his exceptionally powerful awakening. She also uses this opportunity to level with him a little bit, and reveals to him that her dad actually died in an accident when she was much younger. And with Makoto being an orphan himself, that kind of loss and the sense of loneliness that follows is something that they actually seem to have in common. The next day, Makoto makes a full recovery and returns to the dorm where he agrees to lend his power and join C's in their fight against the shadows. And also, the following evening, Junpei Iori, a fellow Persona user from Class 2F, moves into the dorm and joins the team as well. Now, by this point, the game is pretty much past its first exposition stage, and the player can really begin taking control of their time. As I mentioned earlier, this was the first game in the series to implement the day-to-day calendar system, where you play out each individual day of the year and have full control over what activities you partake in each day, all of which provide you with some sort of unique benefit that contributes to your growth in everyday life, as well as in battle. And with the introduction of Tartarus, the mysterious tower that grows out of the school every night during the dark hour, serving as the main dungeon that C's will gradually explore throughout the game, it's all up to the player as to how they want to approach their life as a typical high schooler during the day and a persona-wielding shadow hunter at night. And it's actually through this overwhelming freedom of choice that the game manages to elicit an almost uneasiness in the player. There are so many things to do in this game, so many places to see, so many stories to hear, and so many friends to make that without following a strict guide and managing your time like your life depends on it, it would be near impossible to see everything that there is to see in just one playthrough of this game. It's a completionist nightmare. And honestly, it's kind of brilliant. As you know, the core theme of Persona 3 is death, but along with that, there's also a major emphasis on the concept of time, or rather, the lack thereof. Death is a horrifying thing, but perhaps it wouldn't be nearly as dreadful as it is if our time on this earth wasn't so incredibly limited to begin with. As human beings, we experience things like desire, passion, and excitement, all of which culminate into an uncontrollable drive to accomplish, whether that be through spending time with friends, playing sports, getting good grades, beating a video game, or literally anything else that could fill you with even the slightest sense of personal achievement. And without a shadow of a doubt, the single greatest adversary to this sheer drive to achieve is time. No matter how hard you may work or how well you may be able to manage your time, you are never going to be able to complete everything you want to do in your limited time on this earth. It's a bit of an unnerving thing to think about, but it's reality. And one of Persona 3's biggest accomplishments from a game design perspective is how it manages to take that reality and turn it into something that you can play. From your very first moment starting a new save file, the game makes sure you know that your time with it is limited to about one in-game year, and that once that year is over, it's done. And much like life, that in-game year may at first seem like more than enough time, but as you begin playing, the days just fly by, and before you know it, you're already halfway through the game. By the time you begin approaching the final months of the game on your first playthrough and you've only completed about 60% or so of what all the game has to offer, the anxiety begins to set in as you realize that there's probably no way you can manage to do anywhere close to all of it. And much like life, in order to achieve the greatest personal experience you can in what limited time you're given, you have to start prioritizing the people and things that matter to you most. It's such a surreal feeling, and it's strangely one of my favorite things about the entire game. Persona 3 certainly isn't the only one in the series to pull off the running out of time approach to game design. In fact, you could argue that both 4 and 5 technically did it better, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you, but 3 is unique in the sense that it's able to not only pull it off, but manage to tie it directly into the game's core themes of losing time and the inevitability of the end, allowing for the methodical day-to-day nature of the gameplay to complement the story in an incredibly unique and meaningful way.